Good evening. I'd like to call to order this June 13th, 2018 regular board meeting of the Pullman School District. We'll begin, as we always do, with a flag salute led by PHS ASB Press Secretary Mandy Rubino. I don't think we have sound. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
We have sound.
It's not going to broadcast.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval.
The mics are on, but it'll be hard. We're going to have to really enunciate in order for you to hear. So we apologize.
The mics are there for
The sound.
for the recording. The bit of material on the house mic for the feedback.
So we'll have to talk.
I'll try to
extra
speak really loudly. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Superintendent Maxwell, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Just one note under superintendent's report. I also would like to add Joe Thornton to talk about scoreboard. So during the superintendent's report, Joe Thornton will be talking about proposed scoreboard. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that addition, I will move that we approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
It's the agenda, but yes. Okay.
Oh, the agenda. Okay,
yes.
sorry, yeah.
All right. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The agenda is approved. Next, we'll move on to reports, correspondence, and program, beginning with the PHS ASB report. Thanks, Mandy.
Hey, hello. Lovely to see all of you guys again. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Mandy Rubino. I am going to be a senior next year, and I'm the Executive ASB Press Secretary. I just wanted to update you guys on what ASB has been doing. Not previous Saturday, but the one before, we had prom, and that was soon to be our most successful prom ever. We had an amazing number of students show up and made some of the most income we have in the last couple of proms. Not Monday, but the Monday before, we also had 3 big events for ASB. We had the Spring Fling, the Moving Up Assembly, and our 8th grade visitations. I know for me, those were 3 really big events that I've been working on the last couple of weeks, as well as the other people in ASB and leadership classes with me, and those went off really well. Link Crew worked really well with the 8th graders and giving them tours of the school, and our Moving Up Assembly was a great way for the seniors to say goodbye to everyone. And our Spring Fling was also a great way to end our year and say goodbye to our seniors without them feeling like they didn't have something to finish off the year with. Lastly, we had our first ASB meeting with everyone, including the 8th graders that will be coming up next year. I believe that it went really well. We all worked together. I was able to talk with the other press secretaries, as well as the other executive ASB members were able to talk with their individual groups of positions. And we're so excited for the next year to come, and everyone is excited to work with us as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mandy.
Thank you.
Next is the superintendent's report. Superintendent Maxwell? Oh, sorry, next is
Board
board
reports.
reports. I'll begin down with you, Director Weed.
Okay. Love graduation except for the air horn. It was a little, I actually wanted to listen to what Eric had to say, and that was difficult. But the rest of it is, for me, it's the kids' ceremony, and I love seeing them having fun. So to me, it was awesome. To some people, visitors who have never been to this kind of a graduation, some of them are quite appalled. I must say there are some grandparents that were like, what is going on? But I love it, so well done. Thank you very much to Sherry Comp for all her hard work. It's her 15th graduation, she said, and she's still standing, so that's a good accomplishment. So I like that. Today we toured Kamiak, which I'm sure you'll report on more, but I'm so excited about this, our new elementary school, all the thoughtful little spaces that are being put into the school. We have actually an official food pantry that will be a food pantry instead of somebody's closet. We have some pull-out spaces for the teachers that are just amazing. It's just going to be a happy place for the kids, and to me, that's what an elementary school should be all about. So anyway, that's about it, other than, the Barclays. I went to the Barclays, and then I went to the Academic Achievement Awards, and holy cow, it was a pretty amazing class. So kudos to all the teachers that got these kids through their years at Pullman High School, because there are a lot of very high-achieving and awesome kids. It's pretty exciting to see. So there you go. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Director Roberts?
So we've had quite a busy week this last week. I've heard from a lot of parents and teachers and community members just in general, and I'm really honestly excited for the enthusiasm and the interest that our community takes in the schools. I also had the opportunity to meet with Craig Nelson and Bill Holman and just kind of, send them off and really ask them a few questions, and really just to see what the board and the administration can do better, what we can do to really keep quality candidates. And I just want to say, I know they'll be missed by a lot of people in the community, but I'm really looking forward to working with the new principal as long as we approve him for Jefferson. I also had the privilege of serving on the selection committee for the Jefferson Elementary principal. It was pretty cool to see how the process worked. I'm unfamiliar with, it was my first hiring for a public school office, so it was a learning experience. And I just look forward to hearing about the Franklin candidates and getting this all squared away. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Director Everman?
I just had one announcement this evening. That was the 8th grade graduation last night at Lincoln Middle School. Well attended, but we have some issues with sound and ventilation. So something that's going to be on my to-do list. It'll be on my to-do list. But anyway, you did well with all the students in getting us through on a timely basis. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Tanner?
Like Nathan, I would just like to recognize that I appreciate all the feedback that we've been getting from the community and the teachers and the parents and staff. I look forward to working with everybody in the future. We've gotten some constructive concerns as well as some accolades as well, so it's nice to kind of hear both sides of the coin, and I appreciate everybody making the effort to not only meet with us but to be here tonight, so thank you.
All right, thank you. And in view of the full house, and I anticipate many people wanting to speak, I will not have a report. And now the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. So it was mentioned, we did took a tour of Kamiak Elementary today to get an update and see the progress on newest elementary school. And it was a really nice tour. We've got a chance to see the progress that's being made on Kamiak, and so we're excited for the completion of that project and eventually housing students and staff there as well. Two items I just want to bring to the board's attention. One, we received a thank you note from the Pullman Chamber of Commerce. We participated in the Pullman 2040 Legislative Day, and we had 3 of our local representatives attend a tour hosted at Lincoln Middle School, and we were able to talk to them about a couple of our pressing issues in education. So I'll pass that down. Second notice I wanted to bring to your attention is Kiwanis has already announced the dates for Stuff the Bus, and those will be August 9th, 10th, and 11th. So August 9th, 10th, and 11th, Kiwanis Stuff the Bus. So, with that, I'd like to invite up, as part of my superintendent's report, PEF outgoing president Sandra Albers. Sandra? There you are.
I think Joe wants to become the next president. Thank you for allowing me to be here today to report on the Pullman Education Foundation. My name is Sandra Albers, and I have served as president for the last 2 years. In this past year, the Pullman Education Foundation awarded $20,000 in grants to the Pullman School District for support of the CLEAR project and to the 2017 Innovation Grant recipient, Amy Bumpus at Lincoln Middle School. She purchased Chromebooks for the 7th grade English classes there. Our 2018 Innovation Grant was recently awarded to Marla Haugen, also at Lincoln Middle School, for her Spartan Seed to Feed project. This year, the Pullman Education Foundation provided nearly $5,000 in individual teacher grants, $9,000 for the purchase of large sleeping tents for 5th grade camp, and a support for a community grant to Anna Lynn Randall for the creation of a buddy bench for Kamiak Elementary School. This spring, we established our own website with information and news about our gifts and endowments, as well as the option for online collection of donations. In addition to managing our 10 existing scholarships, we accepted the Pullman School District proposal for a new Future Teacher Scholarship. $14,000 in scholarships were presented last week to the class of 2018 at the PHS Academic Awards Night. The board recently approved the creation of plaques for all of our existing scholarships to honor the donors, the award recipients, and the individuals that are memorialized. These plaques will be displayed in the Counseling Center here at PHS. Last spring, the Pullman Education Foundation accepted a very generous $50,000 donation from the Kwan family to support baseball facilities at Pullman High School. In addition to the scoreboard, bullpen, and turf upgrades funded by the Kwan donation, the board approved the use of funds from a past athletic grant to support a new scoreboard for the girls' softball field. PEF continues to manage our No Camper Left Behind endowment, which supports 5th grade camp, and the Hazel Hickman Pearson Book Fund, which supports the purchase of award-winning library books at the elementary schools. The board agreed this year to remove the library from our teacher grant application process and instead designate $2,000 a year directly to library resources. With the help of board member James Onstead, Superintendent Bob Maxwell, and Director of Operations Joe Thornton, the PEF revisited the Meadow Creek Subdivision Agreement, which was created in 2006. This gift by members of the community was established to support environmental education, especially in the area of wetlands mitigation. Funds from this gift have not been accessed, and the board requested an update of the original intention to make the resources relevant to current environmental education needs. Stuart Higgins, representing the original group, has agreed that the fund may be used to develop critical thinking skills through environmental education training for teachers. Pullman School District recently collaborated with the Pacific Education Institute for ongoing curriculum that includes hands-on activities at 5th grade camp. The board looks forward to providing funds via the Meadow Creek Subdivision Agreement for future environmental education opportunities. The Pullman Education Foundation has 2 committees that provide significant support for teachers and students outside of our normal activities. The PHS and LMS booster committees are expertly led by Karen King at Lincoln Middle School, Becky Walker, and Amy Tull at Pullman High School. Senior Party, an important celebration of our recent graduates, is a subcommittee of the PHS boosters. I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to acknowledge Karen, Becky, Amy, and all of the Booster Club members and volunteers for their efforts. I would also like to acknowledge the success of this year's 5th grade Spaghetti Feed fundraiser hosted by Jefferson Elementary School and raising over $12,000. At this time, I would like to recognize our outgoing board members, Kim Holapa, Christina Parrish, and Connie Brown. And we would also like to welcome to the board our newly elected members, Mary Jane Neal, Clint Cole, Jenny Harder, and Shoma Heim. Our incoming president will be Amy Tull, our vice president, Kelly Newell, our secretary will remain James Onstead, and our treasurer is John Anderson. I would also like to take this opportunity to publicly recognize John Anderson. John has served as treasurer for the Pullman Education Foundation for so long that no one can remember when he was not the treasurer. He has been our financial rock through the years, diligently dispersing scholarship funds, community grants, and resources to the Pullman School District in support of excellence in education, a common refrain heard early in PEF history. John has patiently collaborated with a never-ending list of booster committee leadership, school district administration and teachers, PTO and PTA volunteers, and donors who wanted to give money to support local education. John has a wealth of accounting records and a memory of many transactions that assists those of us who are newcomers in fully understanding the impact of our foundation over time. John was unaware that the board wanted to recognize him this evening, so he planned a trip to Italy instead. At a later date, the foundation will gather to present him with our Lifetime Commitment Award. The plaque reads, Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you to the school board, the staff, teachers, and administration, the students and parents of the Pullman School District for the opportunity to be a part of all children's education. Our board meeting begins with a reading of our mission statement, which I will use in closing. The Pullman Education Foundation operates exclusively for charitable and educational purposes to improve the quality of public education in the Pullman School District and provide a means of enhancement. Thank you for the opportunity to report on this year's past activities. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great, thank you. Great.
Before you go, Sandra,
Aww.
a surprise.
We have one more outgoing board member on the PEF board, and we wanted to thank you for your service as president and
Any questions, or would you like to look at my flowers? No.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, oh, absolutely. Thank you.
I don't know what hand we can shake with all your blue. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, that was really impressive.
Pleasure, Sandra.
No problem.
We can just leave these here if you don't mind. They smell so wonderful, though.
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much.
And I also want to bring the board's attention that Sandra was actually the WASA Community Award winner for 2017 for her work on the PEF. So, all right, next up, and the yeah, I was going to go there.
Okay.
So next up, I'm going to invite up Joe Thornton, who has two items. One will be initial presentation regarding a scoreboard opportunity, and then Joe will move into his report on the wellness goals.
Actually, can I reverse those just because of the order of my PowerPoint, which you should pull up quickly?
Yes.
So wellness committee update first and then scoreboard. And I'm going to do this very quickly because this is not nearly as interesting as what Sandra was talking about. So yesterday we had the last wellness committee meeting of the year. And at that committee meeting, we covered three items of interest, I think the interest of the board. One was Sheba Nall, food service director, gave us an update on the scratch cooking program. She has some training happening this summer for high school and middle school staff. The same time this summer, Foundation Health will come down and do a walkthrough of our elementary kitchens and kind of give us some guidance and suggestions of what we can be adding to those kitchens to make the scratch cooking program work. So I know based on your feedback, hopefully you'll continue to be excited about that. The other thing that was discussed, and yes, this is very small, and I apologize for that, but that's why I gave you a handout. And typically, and Allison, please correct me on this if I'm wrong, typically we don't bring procedure to you guys. However, this is one we felt as if you would want to know about. This has to do with that ongoing discussion and is really being driven by Michelle Hyatt's concerns about the foods that are being brought into schools, into classrooms, and the impact they're having on students, whether it's a student who has an allergy or a student who might be diabetic or any number of different things. So this is an attempt to try to ratchet that in a little bit and get some more semblance of control. Now, there were people on the committee, it was me, who took the stance there shouldn't be any food in the classrooms at all. But yes, I am a meanie, Susan, I will admit. I was quickly persuaded otherwise. So we think this is a good compromise on trying to get that a little bit more under control. Yes, it's going to be a learning curve. Yes, it's going to be a change. Yes, it's going to be a challenge. But at the end of the day, it's about student safety and making sure we don't have foods ending up in the classroom that could have a problem for students. The other piece of this is Michelle has pulled together a list of approved snacks or items that students, families can bring in and share for these celebrations. Tops on the list, yes, are fruits and vegetables. and it goes from there. But these are, some lists we looked at were 8 pages long. We don't want an 8-page long list, so this is a 2-page list that we will distribute and share with families. And then the third thing that there's the food list again. That's why I gave it to you on handout. The wellness goals, we reviewed the wellness goals that we had established at the end of last year, and we feel as if we've made significant progress towards these goals, but we're not done. So as opposed to moving on and getting too interested on that new shiny thing, we want to keep these goals and continue to make progress on these goals about the scratch cooking program, about the routes to schools, and about, and I can't even see it from over here, combine that with district funds, because that will not pay for all of the scoreboard. Combine that with district funds to replace the scoreboard on the stadium that can be used for football as well as for track. The problem with that scoreboard now is if we have a part fail, there are no longer parts available. We'd be having to hope that we can find a scoreboard that's in worse shape than ours to find the part to make it work. So this is a great opportunity to make that upgrade. This is not really something we're looking for approval for from you guys, just kind of giving you the heads up. Questions?
No, I just like the little in memory of Ralph.
Yep, in memory of Ralph and Ray, and it will still be Hobbs Field, but it'll be, knowing Ralph pretty well, I think it'd be something that would make him happy. Scoring was his life, exactly. Questions?
Thank you, Joe.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. The next portion of our agenda is the visitors section. This part of the agenda is for anyone wishing to speak before the board, either as an individual or a member of a group. Visitors addressing the board will go to the microphone and state their name and address prior to presenting their information. The board will listen and may offer clarification, but will not discuss the topic at this time. And before I continue, we do have a lengthier thing to read before the visitors section. I'd like to say just a few words, starting with having Superintendent Maxwell read a communication memo that he shared with staff this week, because we feel it addresses the rumors and current climate in our district. So if you'll read your statement.
Thank you. So I'll try to read this loud enough, and I apologize for the length, but I'll do my best to enunciate loudly enough. This was an email that I sent out to all staff. First and foremost, we are all here because of students, because we care about them and we want the very best for them. I have dedicated my career and my life to serving students. Every decision I make revolves around doing what is best for them. Sometimes that means implementing new initiatives or making tough decisions. Some of those decisions involve personnel matters which can't be discussed openly. And that is hard because I know it leads to questions and skepticism. Concerns about 5th grade camp. The facts are, Roberta Kramer did tell the counselors that were education majors that they could consider the week as an interview. The intent was to be transparent statements so that education majors were aware that our teachers were looking for great future teaching candidates. In an age where teachers are becoming scarce, we are always looking for talented candidates. Concerns about interviewing and hiring. There's been significant amount of false information floating around regarding hiring. Very little has changed in our long-time hiring practices. For teacher positions, we still have a committee consisting of administrators and teachers. The committee, including the building principal, makes recommendation to me. No recommendations were made to me without full agreement from the building's principals. There have been perhaps on occasions in the past few years where an administrator was not available for the interviews of a candidate for a position in their building. This is extremely rare and only done in instances of limited time to fill a position. In the past, I've been part of several teacher interview teams at the elementary level where a majority of our recent hiring has occurred due to growth. We always look for the very best candidates, and I would never consider an individual I didn't think was a good addition to our district. To that end, I have added a new piece in the hiring process, a recommendation from the building principal I meet with the candidate recommended by the principal and committee to introduce myself and get to know them a bit. This is no way an effort to overrule the committee's efforts to micromanage the process. It is important to me to meet each staff member, provide them with a positive welcome, and get a sense of how each individual will enhance our vision and mission. It is my responsibility to ensure the district hires the most qualified candidates. In addition, it should be noted that a second interview or a meeting is a very common practice among superintendents and educational service districts. Concerns about principals leaving the district. I have heard many rumors about the circumstances of 2 elementary principals leaving the district, and I am hurt both professionally and personally by these. I've been supportive of both Craig and Bill and value them as educators and colleagues. Both of these principals pursued great positions in other districts, and I supported them in their efforts, and they will be missed. Important clarification. I want to acknowledge that there was an article in the Moscow Pullman Daily News where I was quoted saying I'm unaware of any concerns in the district. Please let me clarify that this was said specifically about 2 administrators. While our administrator team frequently discusses district challenges and concerns, neither administrator leaving the district noted a specific issue or feelings of discontent when requesting support seeking a new position. I hope I've made it very clear to all staff and the community I want to hear from you. We have created many additional opportunities for staff and community to be heard. Thought exchange, office hours, listening tours, coffee with Bob. If you have questions or concerns, please contact me. I'm always willing to sit down and talk and work together on addressing the issues. I want you to feel comfortable in bringing me your concerns, and I want to work collaboratively to address concerns and improve this district. We are a fantastic district, and I'm determined to take these growing pains and turn us into an even better district than we already are. I think we can all agree we have a highly skilled, effective staff, a supportive community, and of course, incredible students. I urge you all to have productive discussions with me, with each other, and parent community members about how we can all work together and move forward to serve this community and our precious students. Please keep in mind that we are better as a team. Rumors only spread gossip and misinformation. Perpetuate negativity and our district from our vision, mission, and purpose while silencing the great accomplishments of our staff and our students. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I'd like to share a few brief statements from our policies related to harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Policy 3207 is our prohibition of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. It reads, "The Pullman School District Board of Directors and the district are committed to a safe and civil educational environment for all students, employees, parents, legal guardians, volunteers, and patrons that is free from harassment, intimidation, and bullying." And the procedure reads, "The Pullman School District and its Board of Directors strives to provide students with optimal conditions for learning by maintaining a school environment where everyone is treated with respect and no one is physically or emotionally harmed." Harassment, intimidation, and bullying includes, among other things, demeaning comments. This will not be tolerated in our district, including in board meetings. We are committed to ensuring a healthy working environment for all of our employees, and our administrators are no exception. In accordance with 3207P, Section 5, I or an assigned individual will intervene in the case that a visitor uses any language that demeans any individual, including district staff. We appreciate the significant interest this community has in our schools, and thank you for attending this evening. We welcome visitors and ask that you please refrain from using disrespectful or demeaning language as you address the board. And also, I'd ask for silence from the audience both during and after visitors speak. Thank you, and we do have a sign-in sheet, so if you know the order you signed in, just feel free to come on. Oh, I'll call you. We'll begin with Lana Carrier, and a reminder, if it gets to your turn, it's 3 minutes. If it gets to your turn and somebody has already made your point, you could always then choose not to speak, and that would help keep it a little shorter. Thank you.
Do you want to say the timer?
For everyone in the visiting, I thought the visiting was a 3-minute started at the beginning of the speech, not while they're giving their name and address. Can you clarify that for us, please?
Okay, I would suggest, I mean, that's fine.
That's just policy, I'm just double checking that I understand correctly.
I always started when somebody started speaking, but I can wait until they've given their address. Thank you.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Lana Carrier. My address is 1903 Southeast Johnson Avenue. I'm a program coordinator in the Instructional Programs Office, and I have 3 important points that I want to make in my 3 minutes. First, I am in full support of Dr. Maxwell and Dr. Kramer, and I think that this should carry some weight coming from me. I don't say that in any way to suggest that my opinion or my personhood is more valuable than any others. It's just that my role in the district requires that I work very closely with the assistant superintendent, who is Bob for my first 2 years in this role and has been Roberta for the last 2 years. In those time periods, I have had essentially daily conversations with them where I share information or present a request and ask them to tell me how to proceed. That's a whole lot of qualitative data for me to use to make an evaluation of their motives or what their motives are in their role as district leaders. I can say without hesitation that the data shows that both Bob and Roberta operate day in and day out to best serve our students and to protect our district. They make wise decisions rooted in their many years of study of best practice and educational research. I can say of each of them that they embody and exemplify kindness, integrity, and steadfastness. They are exactly the kind of educational leaders that I want to work for and with. My second point is that I really think that the root of the disunity in our district is that we have grown into a medium-sized district, but we are operating out of small district norms. We are no longer at a size where it is practical or even possible for all voices to be heard, for the reasoning of all or even most decisions and changes to be communicated, and for district leaders to be known on a relational level by all staff. But instead of seeing the lack of these things as the sad but true reality of a medium-sized district, they have been attributed to poor leadership. More than that, they have been interpreted as the result of malicious intent. I interpret it as growing pains. My third point is that we are a sinking ship right now. I've heard that some think that a change in captains will right the ship, but I think our problem is that we're on an old rickety boat in a water bigger than we're used to. We need help to figure out how to come together to build a boat suitable for the waters we're in now. One of the responsibilities of the board that's listed on our website is to work towards to work toward change when necessary. So I ask you to help us figure out how to work towards this change in a positive, unified way, and I would love to talk more with you about that. But I will circle back to my first point, that Dr. Maxwell and Dr. Kramer are competent, dedicated leaders who are going to put our students first every single time. And that's exactly who I want at the helm as we move towards positive, necessary change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Kimberly Carper.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Carper, and I live at 720 Southwest Finchway here in Pullman. I'm writing and giving public testimony tonight out of concern for the current climate in the Pullman Public Schools. 2 of our elementary school principals resigned this year, and there's a lot of speculation regarding both departures. But much of it is just that, speculation. Multiple parents have spoken to board members and to Superintendent Maxwell about concerns for their staff in our schools. A lot of these parents say they are speaking out because the teachers themselves are scared of retaliation. Again, some of this is based in fact from people speaking to teachers themselves, some is speculation. We know that in the absence of data, people speculate, rumors abound, as Dr. Maxwell did address, and fear becomes rampant. So what do you do in these cases? As an HR professional with over 25 years of experience in large organizations, I urge you to recognize that this situation and climate requires involvement by you, the school board. It is critical that you hear from teachers and staff as to how they view their current culture and environment and that you receive this information directly and unfiltered. I applaud Superintendent Maxwell for the listening sessions he has conducted this year. But people are not always comfortable sharing concerns in an open forum, and especially to their boss's boss. It is critical that another venue be provided for voicing concerns, a confidential venue free from the fear of retaliation. I urge the board to take the following actions immediately. Hire an independent third-party company to conduct an anonymous and confidential climate survey of all staff employed by Pullman Public Schools. This company should be selected by the board, not by the administration. Furthermore, in order to have credibility with the teachers and the staff, the company should be independently researched by the board, not selected solely on a recommendation from the administration or Northeast Washington Educational Service District 101. The board should work with the selected company to develop the climate survey questions. Again, in order to be completely transparent and fair, this needs to come from the board, not the administration. The climate survey report needs to be delivered independently to the board, not to the administration. It is the board's responsibility per your website, and as we just heard, to work towards change when necessary. If the climate survey report shows that change is needed, then the board needs to lead that change. The board then needs to work on developing action plans based on the climate survey results. Those changes will need to involve the administration, but the board needs to own the development of the action plans. And finally, the board needs to be transparent with the staff and the community with the results of the survey and the action plans developed. This is critical to rebuild the trust that has been eroded over the past 2 years. This process needs to start now. We are at a critical juncture, hiring 2 new principals and opening another school in the next year. Change takes time and it takes work. And there's a reason that the term change management exists. You, the school board, need to actively help manage that change and need to start that process immediately. Thank you for your time and your diligence in that manner.
2 minutes.
And I do have copies if you'd like to. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Doug.
Sherry Wadsworth. Hello, my name is Sherry Wadsworth. I live at 1801 Sunshine Road in Pullman. I am a mom of 5 kids who have all been students in the Pullman schools for over the last 13 years. 2 years ago, I began to hear there were problems starting in our district. Not problems with the schools in particular, but concerns about our administration, creating a stressful environment for our teachers. It has now resulted in some very good teachers leaving our school district, which has me concerned. Last week, it was brought to my attention that our administration has not only been treating our principals and teachers unfairly, but they also treated our 5th grade camp counselors inappropriately. And all of this combined has brought me here today to speak to you at this meeting. I have personally attended 5th grade camp 5 times with my children. I have always been impressed at our teachers and the camp counselors with the energy they radiate and how much work they put into making camp a success. However, it was made known to me last week, after talking to Tanner Day, a counselor at camp this year, that the counselors were not treated well, and some felt overstressed due to actions of our administrators. I have a letter from Tanner that I would like to read parts of that expresses a few of his concerns to you tonight. I showed up to camp Sunday with 4 other counselors. Shortly thereafter, all the counselors arrived. We soon met for icebreakers. While learning all the new names and faces, we had a blast running around and joking with one another. This was to be another great week at camp. That sentiment did not last long. Directly after icebreakers, we were gathered together by Roberta Kramer. She asked us to divide into 3 groups. Assuming this was another attempt at icebreaking, we were arranged into college students, graduated college students, and to her wording, other. Roberta then began by addressing the current college students, stressing the importance of the steps they have taken to further their education and encouraging them in their decisions. It was very well said. Next was the college grads, who got a very warm congratulations, followed by encouragement as they stepped into their professions. Lastly, she turned to the others. I was expecting another well-said thank you speech, for we were the group of people who had things to lose by going to camp. One of my close friends was fired prior to camp because of the time off request. I took a week off of work using my paid time off as well. I was sorely disappointed when Roberta looked at us and dismissed us to help set up tents or something. Then she dismissed the college students to do the same. She kept the graduates and spoke with them alone. That was all it took to drain me of my energy to be at camp. I am a valuable resource for 5th grade camp.
Reliable male counselors are hard to find, and I have been a constant at that camp for 3 years now. For my time and energy to not only go unnoticed, but immediately dismissed to go set up or something, was the start of my ire and frustration with admins at camp this past year. Having taken some psychology, I must point out that dividing the counselors into 3 groups predisposes everyone in the group to biased thinking along the lines of groups. Us counselors have a crazy job, and we must work for each other so no one runs out of energy for the kids. To create arbitrary cliques in the group is as good as undermining the effectiveness of the group as a whole. Upon further questioning of counselors, I found out why Roberta had kept the college grads.
Your time has expired. Do you have a printed copy you'd like to leave with us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next, Tiffany Moeller. Thank you. Tiffany Moeller?
I think she's coming. I can see her.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Tiffany Moeller, 1165 South Grand Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the Pullman Education Association, standing in for PEA President Rena Meeks, who cannot be here tonight, and I will be taking over the role in July. On Monday, our PEA members reviewed and voted on a resolution. 80% of our members voted, and of those members, 79% of them voted yes to support of this resolution. The strong majority is why we are bringing this forward to the board tonight. I will now share the resolution with you as the voice of the Pullman School District certified staff. The Pullman Education Association holds these principles to be at the heart of the teaching profession. Teachers are committed to students and their learning. Teachers know that treating others with respect, dignity, and compassion will make for a better world. Teachers recognize the worth of each human being, and teachers are partners with others in the educational community. Students, colleagues, parents, community members, administrators, and members of the school board. We are teachers for reasons of the heart. We believe in helping others to learn and develop meaning and direction in life. However, it has become necessary for the Pullman Education Association to declare openly its dissatisfaction with the superintendent and assistant superintendent of the Pullman School District. Teachers have come to lose heart in a system that diminishes their worth. It is difficult to have the courage to keep our hearts open to students at the very time we are held in low esteem and devalued by the actions of the superintendent and assistant superintendent. Whereas the superintendent and assistant superintendent have not taken procedural input from the building hiring committees, but have taken charge of the hiring themselves. And whereas the superintendent and assistant superintendent have attended to the concerns and struggles of have not attended to the concerns and struggles of the Pullman High School staff in working with an administrator that does not fulfill his duties. And whereas the superintendent and assistant superintendent did not put forth the collective bargaining agreement in a timely manner so members could receive the benefits of the agreement by the beginning of this school year. And whereas the math and science curricula are not aligned with state standards, the Science Adoption Committee led by the assistant superintendent has failed to adopt next generation science standards aligned curriculum after 1.5 years of working and funding. And whereas monies have been spent placing teachers on administrative leave, paying for investigators, consultants, and attorneys, and hiring a principal 2 years before a building was completed. And whereas the superintendent and assistant superintendent have told the staff in the presence of board members there are no problems in the district that they are aware of. Therefore, we, the members of the Pullman Education Association, vote no confidence in the Pullman School District superintendent and assistant superintendent as we believe that their lack of trust with the staff make them ineffective leaders for the Pullman School District, and that Pullman students, parents, community, and staff deserve a leadership team that shares our values and creates a community of learning, respect, and open communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Yolanda Wilson.
This way than in the small room. My name is Yolanda Wilkie. My address is 229
Northwest Lancer Lane in Pullman, and I am our president of the Pullman the Pullman Paraeducators Association. I stand in full support of the teachers and their decision of their vote of no confidence against Dr. Bob Maxwell and Roberta Kramer. A few board sessions ago, I submitted to the board a 3-ring binder full of letters that were written by anonymous staff, anonymous teachers, anonymous parents, and some who chose to write their name. Not all of those parents who wrote those letters of anonymity were members of the union. I would like to read one letter that was submitted. It says, I have been a para in the Pullman School District for more than 2 decades. I do not remember the last time that I got an increase in my wages. Not once have I been recognized for working in my position for so long. I come to work every day with a smile despite my being unhappy in my environment most of the time. I've chosen not to join the union because I do not have faith that the district will do anything to show paraeducators or anyone that we are important to them. A few years ago, Bob told us the district was giving us a small 1 or 2% wage increase on top of what the state gave us. In the same time, he gave to us as a threat and told us that several times that it could be taken away at any given moment. There have been so many times I come to work and I am abused by staff, parents, students, but over the years I have learned to ignore it. Many people have asked me why I do not choose a different job, and the answer is because I love working with the kids. If I do not do it, I know that a warm body will be in my place. What good is a warm body? Nothing. These people are not experienced or skilled, but they want a job. It's nothing more than a job to them, and when you look at the children they work with, you can tell. I've remained fully committed to my job and my students. A few years back, we tried to unionize because we wanted something better. The district stepped in every step of the way and made many of our jobs a hell place to work. We could have had lawsuits and many other things, but we have always been afraid. We stayed quiet. I've been appreciative of the work the other younger paras are doing to fight for the district. I've enjoyed watching their young spunk and gusto to fight for what's fundamentally right when so many of us older paras have grown tired of the fight. I'm hoping that I can retire and say that my experience with the district has been a good one and that administration and the board has finally shown the appreciation that we deserve. The truth is that I still do not have much faith that this will ever happen, and it is very disturbing to me. So for now I sit quietly. I hold myself back despite my desire to fight and stand up. I will come to work and smile and leave the end of the day feeling exhausted and drained, and do my best to forget anything that happened the course of the day, counting myself grateful because it was me and not just a warm body to teach these kids. I will say that it was quite interesting to me that you brought the policy before asking any of us to speak that Allison stated of 3207 P Section 5, the bullying and harassment. I'd like to know why it covers administration but not staff.
Including. Thank you. Next, Clarine Frank.
My name is Courtney Hodge, and I work as the office assistant at the district office and live at 215 Southeast Crestview Street in Pullman. I have been a part of the Pullman community since the 6th grade, and tonight I feel compelled to speak on behalf of our district leaders who also have served as my mentors for the past 2.5 years. I am fortunate enough to work with a group of dedicated, committed, and compassionate human beings. I am lucky enough to say that the support I have received as a valued member of this district family has been so far beyond anything I could have ever asked for. I want to challenge you all to think about this. Are we exuding behavior that we would want our children to emulate? Are we speaking about others the way we would want our students to speak about their classmates? If the answer is no, then maybe it's time for all of us to take a step back and be honest with ourselves and ask, am I a part of the problem, or am I committed to becoming a part of the solution? I am in awe with how Bob and Roberta have managed to conduct themselves in such a graceful and professional manner despite the public shaming and attacks on their character. These two individuals somehow find the strength to get up and take on each and every day without hesitation, because I know they believe in this district, they believe in our students, and most importantly, they believe in this community and they see the potential that we can achieve together. Day in and day out, I have watched as they have had to make hard decisions, and never once have they wavered from the stance of, no matter what, Pullman students will always come first. As a mom of a little girl approaching kindergarten and a 3- and 1.5-year-old son, I am confident that Bob Maxwell and Roberta Kramer will do anything so that each and every student is given the gift of quality education. I know they will advocate for the success of each and every student, and as a parent, there is nothing I find more relieving than knowing Bob and Roberta are here for all students. That is what I know about Bob and Roberta, and that is what I know to be true about what we need in this district. I have gotten up here today to exude that same strength that I have seen exhibited by our leaders, and am doing that in favor of our administration. I ask you to ask yourselves, is what I'm saying necessary? Is it true? And is it kind? Ask yourself, if I overheard a student repeat my statements to a classmate, what might be my response? Now, we may not all agree on everything, but I've never known this community to be one that is about tearing others down because we believe what we say is the perceived truth, or tearing others down because we don't like what they have to say. We ask our students to participate in conversation with their peers constructively and respectfully. I challenge us all to hold ourselves to the same standard and conduct ourselves in a manner that we would ask our kids to. This district has been and can continue to be an amazing place for our kids, but without effort and teamwork, how will we ever get to a place where we can strive to be the best versions of ourselves for the students of the Pullman School District? We ask our students every day to walk up, to not turn their backs on their classmates, and to participate in constructive conversations respectfully. I know that we as adults can do the same. I stand by our leaders, and I believe in everything they stand for. More importantly, I trust Bob Maxwell and Roberta Kramer as a team. I know every decision they make is for the betterment of the Pullman School District, and that is something I will stand by no matter what.
Thank you. Okay. Next, Clarine Frank.
Who's next?
Clarine Frank.
I'm Clarine Frankie of Northwest 75 Thomas, and I am the Para PPA Association treasurer. Get that out. So I want to share that kids are first in our schools, our communities, and we like to keep them safe and teach them well. So we enjoy being around them, and we enjoy our jobs. But I do agree and support the teachers in their decision on the vote of no confidence for the superintendent and the assistant superintendents. I have brought issues to Bob and Roberta, and those were never resolved, and the buck just kept getting passed. I want to thank the board and our bargaining members for coming to a decision on our bargaining agreement for the paras, and I just wish that it would have happened earlier. It took a long time, and we haven't had one for 20 years. So we need that support. We need that document to help us through our job descriptions and the clarifications. And we do need support of the community, and we would really appreciate being supported once in a while with just a thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Jenny Harder. Jenny Harder.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm going to let someone else go ahead. I think there's lots to say.
Okay, so you're not speaking?
I'll pass.
Okay, thank you. Phil Honeywell.
My name is Phil Honeywell. I live at 1215 Orion Drive here in Pullman, and I'm here tonight to express my concerns with the hiring process that is in use for principals and administrators within the Pullman School District. Specifically, the procedures that the district would be using from this date forward as detailed in Dr. Maxwell's talk last Tuesday during the Coffee with Bob session. Last week, we learned that Dr. Maxwell and Dr. Maxwell alone would be reviewing all initial principal applicants. The applicants that he felt best fulfilled the hiring criteria are then called in for a day of interviews and community meetings. Community members have the opportunity to offer token feedback, which may be taken into consideration for the final choice. Ultimately, a small committee makes a final recommendation to the superintendent, and as Dr. Maxwell told us last week during the coffee with Bob, the superintendent will make the final decision on which candidate to hire. This puts a single person at the beginning and the end of the hiring process, something that we as a community find antithetical to a collaborative nature that we've come to expect from our schools. My question to the board is this: why are the Pullman schools restricting our principal and administrator selection process to the judgment of a single person? Pullman is a tight-knit community that cares deeply about our kids, as you can see by the number of people that are here tonight. We are passionate about the quality of our schools and the educators that have an impact on our students. Please do not dismiss these concerns. Take a good look at the procedures and ensure that they reflect the wants and needs of this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Carrie Woolsborne.
Can you state his name again, please?
That was Phil Honeywell.
Good evening. I'm Carrie Walsmore, 820 Southwest Viento Drive. I'm going to read part of a letter that I sent to the board earlier today. We moved to Pullman the summer of 2006, almost 12 years ago. I have a 6th grader at LMS. I have a freshman and a junior at the high school, and I have a 22 and 23-year-old who graduated from PHS. When we first moved here, all we heard about Pullman was how great the schools were. They are good. As a trained educator myself and a parent, I have observed that Pullman is a strong district. But like any other district, it's not perfect. There are areas that stand to be improved, strategies that can be refined, and heights to be reached. It was refreshing to me that Dr. Robert Maxwell was brought into our district as an outsider, because sometimes it seems like we hire in district, and he had amazing experience and was allowed to work alongside Dr. Sturm for 2 years and then take the reins. I have seen him embrace the community and rich heritage of our district while moving our schools in a direction of excellence. He seems to constantly embrace the questions, how can we improve? How can we do things better? I appreciate this about him and feel it has taken our district in a direction we needed to go. I see Dr. Maxwell as a man of the people. His door is open to those who would like to meet with him. He has conducted survey after survey after survey, getting input from our community on everything from school boundary change to when the date of the new school is opening, even what mascot to choose. The list goes on and on. After surveys, there's committees, and the procedure is inclusive of the community throughout the decision-making process. Dr. Maxwell hosts Coffee with Bob once a month, where anyone is welcome to come and he will field any question. The range of knowledge this man holds is amazing. I have seen him respond with respect, dignity, and professionalism. I see Dr. Maxwell as a man who has handled many difficult circumstances in our district with integrity and grace. While he is bound by law not to mention details in certain cases, situations that have gone very public in the media, I have seen this man stand on the principle of honor and integrity while driven by a meter of what is best for kids in our school district. The addition of Dr. Roberta Kramer and Megan Itani have created a team that I feel is second to none. They are leaders, their practices are evidence-based, they are collaborative, they work tirelessly, and they are kid and student-centered. The hiring of Dr. Bob Maxwell and Dr. Roberta Kramer and Megan Itani is one of the best decisions I have seen our community and district make, and I am proud to have them as administrators. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Walsborn.
Can you spell that last name?
Wolsborn.
Thank you.
Tim Walsborn, also 820 Southwest Viento. Recently, our district administrators, specifically Bob Maxwell and Roberta Kramer, have been taking a lot of heat. They have a very difficult job managing and overseeing district employees. The last 2 school years, they have had to make very difficult decisions managing personnel. Personnel matters cannot and should not be discussed publicly. We as the public know very little about what has happened behind the scenes, in private conversations, in formal evaluations, and during formal investigations. Most of the information shared publicly has been from one point of view. Thank you, Bob and Roberta, for having integrity and honesty and saying next to nothing. I would like to thank you, Bob, Roberta, Megan, Joe, and all the principals for working tirelessly to serve our community, school, teachers, parapros, and most importantly, our kids. I know without a doubt, each day you all do your job to the best of your ability. Thank you for being willing to stick your neck out, which you've done, and make really hard decisions that you believe are best for our community and kids when you know you will face opposition. Thank you for holding teachers, parapros, and each other to a very high standard. Nobody likes correction or accountability, but we all need it. It is your job to lead our school district and provide that direction. Your job is not easy. Thank you for losing sleep over your job. Thank you for not looking at how many hours you're putting in. Bob, thank you that your hobbies include driving Pullman streets in the winter at 4 a.m. to decide if we can have school or not. And students would request that you simply stay in your warm little bed and declare a 2-hour delay anytime there's icy precipitation on the radar. Thank you that your CrossFit workout of the day includes getting on the roof at LMS to shovel 3 feet of snow off of it so the roof doesn't collapse. There are countless examples of our administrators going above and beyond to serve our schools. I believe there is a quiet majority in our community that believe in and support our administrators, principals, teachers, students, parents, community. Again, you have a very difficult job. Thank you for working tirelessly and fighting for our kids.
Thank you.
Next, Sarah Chapman. That was Tim Wolfsburn. Is Sarah Chapman here? Oh.
Kim Parker stated my point very, very well. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next, Natalie Fisher.
Natalie Fisher, 465 Southwest Ramsey Court. I am a mother of 6 children, 4 of which are currently in the district, and I think I can say that many of us move here because of how great Pullman schools are, and from my experience in coming 8 years ago, I feel like the district has declined. But tonight, I speak for a 5th grade camp counselor. To my understanding, the structure of camp has changed tremendously from the past. The pressure to meet state regulation and exceed testing data have put new expectations on teachers and principals. This was made evident by district staff and was felt by counselors like me. To be more specific, I felt that Roberta Kramer gave all of the volunteer counselors an odd feeling starting Sunday evening. We had just been introduced to all of our fellow counselors, and then we were immediately asked to separate into 2 different groups, those who were going to college and majoring in primary education, and then those of us who were not majoring in primary education. Then the group of those who majored in primary education and had just graduated were separated into a 3rd group. Those not majoring in primary ed were told to go help set up cots in a tent at one side of camp, and those who were majoring in primary ed were sent to set tents up at the other end of camp. Primary education majors were told that this was somewhat of an interview and that the teachers would be watching them and how they interact with the children. The recent grads were more or less offered a job in the Pullman School District. Meanwhile, the other counselors were not engaged by Roberta. It was expressed by those individuals that they felt isolated and insulted. Later in the week, I was sitting in the mess hall with a small group of counselors when Roberta approached us. She asked if we were all primary ed majors. She proceeded to only talk with those that were education majors. I want this letter to acknowledge that although there may have been job opportunities available to those that met criteria, which was exciting for some but stressful for others, the reason why all counselors went to camp was to make sure that the 5th graders had the best week possible while having fun ourselves, and the volunteer hours don't hurt either. The consensus from the majority of camp counselors was they did not like the idea of this working interview or liked being told that if they stand out during the week of camp that they would have a job waiting for them in Pullman. The counselors that were not primary education majors felt isolated, unneeded, and unnecessary. The majority of the counselors were college students and felt resentful that our volunteer time was more than that, especially after recovering from a brutal week of finals and needing to catch up on much-needed sleep, which as camp counselors we did not get. They also didn't acknowledge the fact that some people weren't even attending college and decided to volunteer out of the kindness of their hearts with no volunteer hours in mind. They gave up a week that they could have been working and making money. I would hope that one day, hopefully as soon as possible, this aspect of camp leaves the program and that the camp goes back to its old roots of letting the kids be outdoors and learning about nature. No working interviews involved, making everyone feel needed, as I know all of the counselors are. With all of this being said, I don't want it to go unnoted that I did have a great week at camp. The 5th grade teachers are all just as amazing. I also don't want to throw anyone under the bus because I'm sure everyone is doing their absolute best in making this week run smoothly, which I know can't be easy.
Natalie, your time has expired.
Okay.
Do you have a written statement?
I sure do.
Okay, thank you. Next, Kathy Dodson.
Marking your papers.
Yeah.
I am Kathy Dodson. I live at 1109 East F Street in Moscow. I am in support of the teacher's decision for a vote of no confidence. I was one of the one of the paraeducators that did write an honest letter. I heard another paraeducator talk to at a previous board meeting saying that she interviewed paras, not that myself or any others were aware of. The fear to speak about issues in in district area in the district is real. I ask that you do pass the collective bargaining agreement for paras and thank them for I want to thank you for your consideration to do so. I also ask that I think about why those who work for the administration feel differently than teachers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Maren Barnett. And Maren, before you begin, I want to apologize. I'm not really able to figure out how to reset this clock.
Okay, I'm just reading a letter, so I will.
If you're pretty sure, just don't be distracted by the...
Okay. I'm Maren Barnett. I live at 1255 Southwest Big Sky Court. And Tamsin Jolly has asked me to read a letter on her behalf since she couldn't be here tonight. She says, Dear School Board, I am unable to attend your meeting tonight due to prior commitment, but I need to voice a concern. Here is a brief background since this is the first time I have made the attempt to connect with the school board. I have lived in Pullman the majority of my life, attending the old Adams Kindergarten, Jefferson Elementary, Gladish Middle School, Lincoln Middle School, and graduating from PHS in 1983. From 1994 to 2011, I was CEO of Decagon Devices, Inc., now Meter Group. I gave up my CEO position in 2011 to have a family. I have 6-year-old twins, Mira and Will, who are attending the Montessori of Pullman and then going to first grade in the Pullman School District this fall. So it's time for me to get involved. In the last week, I have learned of the departure of 2 well-respected principals from the district and the need for those positions to be filled. Those departures are a grave concern and should be addressed, but there is a bigger issue requiring immediate attention. With one of those positions filled, I understand the rush to fill the vacant position, but such a hurry will result in a bad hire for the district. There is no way that a 2-week search could deliver the best possible candidates for the job. My understanding is that the candidates to be interviewed lack the relevant experience to do the job. The students of the Pullman School District and their parents who rely on the school board to deliver excellent education deserve better. The school board must immediately pause the process until appropriate candidates are given the opportunity to apply. In my experience in making executive hires at Decagon and Meter Group, nothing was more important than finding the right person to fill the position. Even if it caused pain in day-to-day operation, that was small compared to all associated costs of getting the wrong person out of the job and starting over again. Thank you for your consideration of my input. Sincerely, Tamsin Jolly. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Mary. Last, Joe Thornton.
Am I next?
Yeah.
My name is Joe Thorne. I live at 1035 Northwest Clifford in Pullman. I'm not here as a member of the district staff. However, the role I have does not preclude me from speaking to the board in the visitor section as a member of the Pullman community and the education community. I have perhaps a unique perspective on the current state of things as I've worn many hats in the school district. Parent, volunteer, coach, teacher, EA president, building administrator, and central office staff. In one way or another, I've been associated with this district since 1991. I've already given the board a letter of my perspective and support of the current district leadership. What I really want to talk about is the concept of civil discourse and where did we lose the ability to have that in this district. You've heard this evening from groups of people that are critical of both the superintendent and the assistant superintendent. How many of those people have attended Bob's monthly office hours to express concerns? How many have scheduled a meeting with Bob or Roberta? How many of the staff have asked the EA to set up a management labor meeting to discuss concerns? How many have circled back to a topic they didn't think was being heard and asked for another meeting? How many have reached out to a board member to meet and discuss concerns? As a group of educators, how would we respond to a parent that had not yet exhausted all the pathways to be heard, but came to a school board meeting to publicly criticize a teacher? That action would be well within their right as a member of the public, but that does not make it proper, professional, or productive. Many years the district and the EA did something called problem solving. Issues were brought to the table and resolutions were found. I participated as both a member of problem solving as both a teacher and as a building administrator. At one point in time, many years ago, the EA was able to raise and discuss concerns about building and district administration. This was done without having to publicly shame anyone and without these discussions going public. What's wrong when we cannot have the PEA get together with district leadership and have a civilly discuss issues, but the United States and North Korea can? I leave you with one thought, a quote. Civility is not a tactic or a sentiment. It is a determined choice of trust over cynicism, of community over chaos. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that concludes our visitor section. Yeah, why don't we at this time take a little intermission because it's turning into a very long meeting. So if anyone needs to use the bathroom.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah. So it's 7:45 right now.
I will take you up on that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would be opening it up to everybody. Right. So, yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
Normally you ask if there are any other people that didn't sign in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And sorry I got that article to you so late. I know it was kind of last minute. And thanks for the edits too, those were nice. I appreciate it. I'm an editor myself, and so I sometimes forget that you should also have edits as well as making edits. But I appreciate them for sure. No, and I always like the different perspective, because you never really know how people are going to take what you're writing, because in your head it sounds fine, and then when you put it down it's a little muddled, you know? But yeah. Susan ran out the door.
She's right there.
I was kidding.
I don't know.
All right, thank you. That was an enjoyable intermission. We understand that there are visitors who may not have had the opportunity to sign in to the visitor sheet before, so we will continue to receive public input following this same format where you state your name and address and you restrict your time to 3 minutes. And if you are planning to speak, maybe if you could kind of line up, that way we could make this flow as efficiently as possible. So if someone would like to speak, go right ahead.
My name's Megan Atani, and I live at 825 Southwest Viento Drive. I'm a community member, I'm a mom, and I get the opportunity to be a district leader. People know my background, that I advocate and work for special populations of students who at times need extraordinary instruction and programming. I've met many challenges in my professional career as an educator,
being a leader is the hardest task I've ever been given. I have to face difficult decisions, work through what the knowledge I have, research more, work with the opposing opinion to find a collaborative ground. It's not easy, it's time consuming, but it's worth it every time. As a district leader, I chose to get up here tonight because I wanted to let everyone know I was listening and I hear you. But I was also personally hurt by some of those comments. I tried to be supportive. I tried to provide thanks because what we do is not easy. As a leader, I'm always willing to walk into a situation and assist in whatever means is necessary. Whether that means assisting a student in a bathrooming situation and teaching them better self-care, whether it means standing with a student who's escalated and experiencing a traumatic situation. But every day I try to give my best. But mostly I'm supported. I'm supported by my leadership team. And while I'm very aware that Bob and Roberta are the leaders of this, we are a team. We work to support each other as leaders. We work to support each other in collaborative problem solving. I attended 3 days of 5th grade camp. I know I stood in front of counselors and thanked them for their time. All I can speak to is my knowledge of my own actions and what I know of my team. And what I know of my team is that we are a team and we will continue to work together to move forward for the betterment of Pullman School District. And I do this for my own 2 children who attend schools here. I do this for all of your children and all of my neighbors' children. So I just ask our community to be very considerate of our hard work, of our long days, and know that we give our best every single day.
Thanks, thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hi, Cameron Groh, 2330 Northwest Ridgeline Drive. Also the principal at Lincoln Middle School. I want to talk quickly about my supervisors, Bob and Roberta, and how much I support what they do and why they do it. One of the things I learned, and I've been here 10 years, you always have to do and make every decision for kids. I learned that from my past superintendent. I learned that from Dr. Sturm, and I've learned that from both Dr. Kramer and Dr. Maxwell. As a principal in the district, it's important for me to have superintendents that are honest with me. I love their honesty. Sometimes it's not always perfect for me, but they make those decisions based upon kids, which is why I respect them. The other day, we're sitting down and looking at data and trying to figure out what's going wrong in certain areas and why certain things are going right. Looking at individual students saying, why is that working and why is that not? It is always about the kids. And as a principal in this district, I do want to say I support my superintendents. That being said, I love a lot of the people here tonight whose opinions may differ from me. We will soon get back on the same page. And I trust that we will get there soon. So thank you for your service, and thank you for having me in the district. Thank you, Board.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Tammy Sewell. I live at 1105 Southwest Crestview. I have been in Pullman for 30 years. I've been a teacher for 30 years, and and an administrator for 1 year. I've worked in 4 districts in 2 states. And I will say that what we are currently experiencing, I have experienced before in other places. It's not fun, but I believe that we can get past this. One thing that I believe strongly is that we need to ask people questions. Last night, when I was at the 8th grade promotion at Lincoln Middle School, I had a parent come up to me and say, "Tammy, I've been hearing some ugly rumors. Can you please answer some questions for me?" And some of her questions were completely false. And she said, "This is, and just, you know, me and my friends, this is all what we believe to be true." And she said, "What can I do?" And I said, "We have got to encourage people to talk to people face to face. Ask honest questions. And if we don't know, ask for help." Because I do think that's causing us a lot of difficulty. And I would like to clear up myself one thing that has been said that isn't entirely true. I know that it has been said that Bob and Roberta are not supportive. But I have to be honest, the 1 year that I've been in administration, I have been so incredibly supported by them. Anyone who knows me knows I dig education, and I am into this. I am all in. And when I went to my first administrators meeting and everybody else was all in too, I just went, "These are my people!" People passionate about what kids need. We've read 3 books this year talking about how to do this work better. And I have felt like they have listened to me, they've asked after me, they've sought me out and supported me. And so I want to just correct that one piece of misinformation because I have found them to be very supportive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Next speaker.
I'll be short, you don't need a timer.
Okay.
Brent Carper, 720 Southwest Finch Way. I just wanted to comment, tonight you opened public comment by reading rules about bullying and inappropriate language towards other and mutual respect. I've been to other board meetings, I've never heard those rules read for public comment. These are difficult discussions. I'm sure that there have been discussions that were inappropriate, that were offensive, mean, bullying. That didn't occur tonight. I've never heard that occur at a school board meeting. I'm concerned that you're going into these discussions with that mindset already. Discussions that are critical or constructive criticism, those are difficult conversations, but they're not bullying. And you need to be open to hearing and having those discussions. There are a record number of discussions happening at the union with school board members all over. This is one of those forums. You're hearing record public comment, but it's just one of many. So just please don't put up the walls. Don't assume that criticism and concern is going to be bullying or inappropriate. That's starting off on the wrong step, even for public comment. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sandra Casanova. I live in 1815 Northwest Arcadia Drive here in Pullman. I've been a community member for almost 20 years. My 3 girls attended Jefferson Elementary and graduated from Pullman High School. I am a 5th grade teacher also. And I am here to tell you that I have spoken directly a number of times to Bob and Roberta. Dr. Maxwell and Roberta. I have spoken in listening tours, and you've seen me there, you have seen me there, you have heard me. I try to keep my communication direct, and the people that know me know that. clearly there is a disconnect. And our kids are suffering because of it. There are truths and there are perceptions. And we live in a world with both. And I urge you to deal with both. I do student survey perception surveys, knowing that my students perceive me in a certain way. And one of them is right there. And she can tell you that after I did that survey, I asked them, because if it's their perception, I need to ask them, what can I do to do better? Did I ask you that? I urge you, please, work with the perceptions as well as with the truths. Thank you.
Great point. Thank you. Thank you.
Natalie Fisher, 465 Southwest Ramsey Court. I hope you allow me to speak on my own behalf this time. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay. I have a new motto.
Have your remarks timed by chance?
I don't mind. Oh,
No, do you know how?
no, but I can put my own.
I'll do it, don't worry about it.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.
I just want you to know that I am a concerned parent, and I do really strive to get the right information. I've personally met with 3 board members. I've met with Bob personally. I've met with principals. I've met with Pam. I've met with Bill. I believe the principals feel supported, but I also believe the teachers don't. Why is that? I don't know. But there is a very big disconnect in our district. My new motto is there's always a solution. As a mom of 6 kids, I'm trying to use that so that we have less tantrums, I have less breakdowns myself. There's always a solution. What is that solution? I don't know yet. But I know there is a huge disconnect. There is a lot of good information out there. There's also a lot of maybe not perfect information out there. Why are the parents scared? Why are the teachers feeling unsupported? Why are the principals feeling supported? Like I said, I don't have all the information. What I do know is true is my own experience. Last year, I know that last year was a very stressful year at Sunnyside Elementary. My son was physically assaulted on a very regular basis, to the point where he didn't even want to tell anybody anymore, because nothing happened. For a child to sit in the counselor's office and say, she said, will you please tell me if this happens again? And he said, I don't know, because nothing ever happens. And my son did not get the brunt of that. He was just one of many. There is a problem. The kids are stressed. The teachers are stressed. Like Kimberly Carper said, you have to know the climate. You have to do it anonymously to get a true feeling of the climate. Because the teachers, if they are not happy, it comes across in the classroom and the kids suffer. And they suffer, my kids have suffered. And as a parent, when you have multiple children sobbing every night, throwing up because they're stressed and don't want to go to school, there is a problem. Okay, those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Horn. I live at 2315 Northwest Prairie View Drive. And I couldn't stay in my seat, so I knew I had to get up. I've worked with several of the administrators sitting here tonight. I've worked with Megan, I worked with Pam Brantner. I directly reported to Dr. Maxwell when I taught in the special ed department. And I have 4 children in this district. All of my kids were born here. I love Pullman. I love our school district. Since I was 5 years old, I have wanted to be a teacher. I love the kids I teach. the last 2 years, things feel so different. After everything that happened last year at Jefferson, where I teach, at Sunnyside, many teachers, it's very real. We have feared our superintendent and assistant superintendent. I've said that. I've said to Bob directly, the major breakdown that Sandra Casanova alluded to, communication is not happening between administrators, especially the administrators at the top, and it's not trickling down. I was a part of the interview committee last week for our new principal, and I loved watching everyone interact that works at the district office. I was like, wow, they're so different from what we feel and we hear and we see happening. I was jealous. I'm jealous of other teachers across the state who have a wonderful relationship with their assistant superintendent and their superintendent. It's so frustrating. And teachers are fearful. We don't want them coming to our building because we don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't want it to feel like that. I don't want it to be like that. And none of us do, and that's why we brought this resolution forward, because we don't feel we're being heard. Lots of things are written down on pads of paper, but there's very few times that there's any response from the administrators, and that's what we need. We can turn this around, just like we've all alluded to, or other people have commented on. We can turn it around, and we can be a strong district, but we've got to communicate. The teachers don't feel it. The staff doesn't feel it. We want what you guys have at the district office. We want that relationship, and we need the help from the board to help us get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else care to address the board? Going once, going twice. Sir, are you getting up to address the board? Okay.
Do you want me to time still?
I
don't mind.
No, I can with it. It just, I can't reset it in mid, but I can.
My name's Ben Day. I live at 1001 Northwest Marshland Drive. I just moved recently, so I'm still trying to get used to that change. I think you heard a letter from my son Tanner a little while ago. He's been an amazing volunteer at 5th grade camp 3 years in a row, and the first 2 years it was just incredible to see how excited he was about that program when he would get home, and he would just talk nonstop about how wonderful 5th grade camp was. And I've lived in Pullman since 1972, so I had the opportunity as a 5th grader to go to 5th grade camp, and it was an incredible experience. Probably the most positive experience of my schooling, and so it was very painful to see his disappointment in how he was treated by administrators at 5th grade camp when he had volunteered his time. He had taken time off from work so that he could go. And all I can say is I'm disappointed that volunteers would be treated in that manner.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the visitors section at this time, and I want to thank you all for coming and addressing the board. It was great to hear from so many. The next portion of the agenda is the consent agenda. And by the way, if you don't want to stay for the board meeting, you don't need to. To expedite business at a board meeting, the board approves the use of a consent agenda, which includes items considered to be routine in nature. Any item which appears on the consent agenda may be removed from the consent agenda by a member of the board and voted on separately. The remaining items will be voted on by a single motion. Tonight's consent agenda consists of warrants, ASB fundraisers, minutes, personnel report, overnight field trip request, and records destruction. And I would now entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda.
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the consent agenda is approved. We have 2 action items this evening. The first action item presented by Director of Operations Joe Thornton is summer activities.
At the last board meeting, I presented to you the list of activities that are going to be occurring this summer throughout the district. This is a requirement of our insurance carrier, so I'm presenting that to you for your approval. Short and sweet.
I will move that we approve the summer activities list as presented at the last board meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the 2018 summer programs. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? All right, the summer activities are approved. And next, the 2017-18 Paraprofessional Collective Bargaining Agreement presented by Superintendent Maxwell.
Thank you very much. So we have completed negotiations. This was submitted as a discussion item. We worked very hard with the paraprofessionals, and I think we've reached a very good agreement, and we're presenting it to you for final action. And this agreement would be for this year.
I move that we approve the contract as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the recommended collective bargaining agreement for the 2017-2018 school year. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, that bargaining agreement is approved.
Thank you.
Next we move on to discussion items, beginning with 2018 and 19 course offerings presented by Assistant Superintendent Roberta Kramer.
Every year, we bring course offerings to you in anticipation if there are any changes, deletions. So what I've shared with you is still something that will yet to be revised before I come back to you at the next board meeting, but I just wanted to have something to you. For sure, Sports Medicine 2 is an addition at Pullman High School. Computer Science, we're still working through those details. Bridge to College Math, that's dependent on our data, and a look at it today with math teachers at Pullman High School indicates initially that we will not offer that course, and as well as mathematical modeling, which was a new course that we had hoped to offer, but had low enrollment. And so, and right now what's going on, the reason that there's 2 math on there is that the state has allowed us this opportunity for students that are juniors and seniors to take an alternative course that then includes an alternative assessment. And we're learning about this. This is, OSPI is building this plane as it flies. And so we're hopeful we're going to put in a request to use 2 of our current courses because after careful reading, more consideration, lots of conversation with our math teachers, we've decided that we're going to try to embed that locally determined assessment that can meet the graduation requirement of a math assessment. We're going to try to embed that in 2 of our already existing courses. So,
which 2?
Statistics and Algebra 2. And that's rather different than how we were originally looking at it, but I think it's exactly, it keeps kids on the same mathematics plan as they start out with. The challenge with adding a course that is different than that can take, so if a student is a sophomore now taking statistics, they go into Algebra 2 generally than as a junior. If they took a different course other than Algebra 2, it takes them off that opportunity to perhaps access pre-calculus or calculus. And we really, that's not supporting kids' interests as well. So we've been very thoughtful about it, have spent a lot of time, and the math teachers are so invested in it. And so we're going to try this and submit the application to OSPI hopefully Friday.
When will you hear back, do you expect?
It's OSPI.
I'm hopeful before school starts.
Okay.
There's a piece that has to happen when you submit a course to be locally determined course with the locally determined assessments. When you submit that, you have to guarantee 4 things that we can certainly guarantee. It's during the school day, it is taught by a certified teacher, it's, there's these 4 requirements. So I don't anticipate that there'll be a problem, but because it's OSPI's new process.
Building the plane as it flies, so.
Yes, that's exactly what's
like that
going on.
saying.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have questions? I have a question that's a little bit of a tangent.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay. So I love the concept of exploring offering a course, interest surveys, things like that. But what frustrates me for a planning purpose is looking at a catalog that has many potential offerings, but they're not realistic. You can't actually register for those classes because they're not actually offered. So I wonder if there's a way to keep track, and I don't know, bear with me, but something that is a master list of courses that have been approved, or a catalog that more cleanly says, this course is not offered every year, it's typically offered in alternate years, or something like that. So just so that you have that heads up, because if you go to read the master list, you might be inclined to think that all those courses are offered and available.
Yeah, you bring up an excellent point, and that's something that I'm happy to have a conversation with our guidance counselors as well as our administration at Pullman High School.
I think it would be so helpful for student planning. As I mentioned to you today, I have a frustration with a student who was always planning to take Spanish 4, and here it is her year, and it's not offered, So that's a selfish thing on my part, and it's not a,
no,
I'm just,
No, I appreciate that feedback.
Okay.
Because I would like to see us condense that a bit as well, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll work with them on
It doesn't
that.
necessarily have to be condensed, but it can be like the university does. It can be enrollment mandated. I mean, dependent on the enrollment. That's when it's offered. Because certain classes cannot be offered if you have fewer than 10 or 15 students in a class. Although we'd love to, we can't.
Right, and
So it's enrollment dependent.
there's a typically offered phrase on the university's catalog.
It's a heads up.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, and I think back to last year, we brought to the board one of Doug Winchell's courses that and then we alternate that course with 3D animation, if you remember that. So next year will be 3D animation, so we probably should have noted that the other course won't be offered next year.
Exactly. Yeah, something like that.
Yep, okay. I'm happy to work on that. I don't know that I can have it fixed in 2 weeks.
Of
but-
course not. It would require editing the entire book, but
I know.
it would
What was
be
that
so helpful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. The next discussion item is secondary student and parent handbooks presented by Superintendent Maxwell.
Thank you very much. So this was a project that I worked with Principal Cameron Groh and Principal Eric Hines on trying to go through our handbooks and kind of coordinate them and standardize the flow so the information would be found relatively close in the same spot. Also to go through and do some cleanup over the years. We worked on this with the elementary schools rather than having 3 different elementary handbooks, having 1 elementary handbook. That was last year's project. This project we moved on to the secondary, trying to, obviously high school and middle school a little bit different. We don't have a whole lot of middle schoolers driving yet, so that's a good thing. So, but we standardized those handbooks so that they'll be easier to follow and easier to access information, as well as clarifying some things that we learned over the years, and also getting rid of some outdated language. So we're moving those forward for you for your consideration. But it was really going through revamping those and trying to get them to be more standardized and consistent.
So the question is just approving the handbooks in concept, or so as far as the board, what the board will be voting on?
Yeah, or if you had questions about a particular, we tried to highlight the areas that we may have changed or adapted to make it a little bit easier for you to notice if something was changed. An example would be at secondary with adding electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes, which were not in the handbook.
Or maybe parking.
Or some parking violations. So we tried to highlight anything that was adjusted, new, or different for you. If it's the black font, it's the same language that was in there before. If it's highlighted green, there was a change.
I'll confess I did not have time to finish
Right,
them.
and
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a decision tonight because it's
Yeah.
a discussion item, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to point that out. But if you do have any questions, feel free to contact any of the principals or myself, and we'll be happy to.
This is a random question, but will it be printed and put online or just digital?
We put them online now, and then we make some printed copies if folks request printed copies. And typically in the past, we've also given them to freshmen at the high school to sign to make sure that they received a copy. But we're trying to put more and more online.
And what accommodations are made if someone's native language is not
If it's non-native language, then we try to go back and try to get that translated into their primary language.
So it says, but it says, the Lincoln one says that you're expected to keep this handbook in your 3-ring binder and use it throughout the school year. So,
They may do a printed copy still.
Okay.
And I'll check with Cameron on that.
yeah,
I know at the high school, we've tried to move more to an electronic version.
well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Since I don't think they use binders anymore, do they?
It depends.
Okay.
It
So,
is
all right.
hard to visualize a high school student referring to a paper copy of the handbook.
Well, I still use them, but that's, you know, the old lady in me, but, okay,
But we do have them available.
all right.
It's with the demise of Trapper Keepers.
Oh, I don't, those in peachy notebooks, those were awesome. It's just not the same. Life is not the same. All right, I spilled my
Any
water.
Any other questions?
No, I was just
Okay.
wanting to
Oh.
clarify that, you know, if they're not going to use the binder, then we don't need to have them keep it in their binder.
And I'll make a note to check with Cameron.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. There are a couple of routine informational items on the agenda that we will not be discussing. So Next, if there are no objections, we will recess into an executive or closed session for the purpose of discussing negotiations, personnel, and the superintendent evaluation. Do you have a sense of how long that might take?
I'm going to estimate 40 minutes.
Okay, so 40-minute executive session. Would it make sense to move into the boardroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be moving into the boardroom for that, and there will be no action taken during an executive session and no notes taken. An executive session is a confidential meeting. So, and then we will adjourn directly after that. So, thank you.
Thank you for your attendance.